Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is finally out, and a film that many people have been hyping up about what cameos could have shown up in here. Well, we didn't get too many, and I think that was actually for the betterment of the film, but in the what if kind of context and theorizing, I want to give you guys my top 10 cameos that I wish we would have seen and maybe could have even needed. And these are only my thoughts. I don't think these would have actually made it a better movie, but it would have made for some, sure, fun sequences in this what if scenario. Make sure to leave your guys' thoughts down below, hit that like and subscribe button, and let's dive right in. Coming down at my number 10, many people wanted Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, maybe even Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, or maybe even all three Spider-Mans with Tom Holland also joining in. For me, I didn't want any of them. Yeah, sure, Tobey would have been cool because of Sam Raimi, but I really wanted Miles Morales. If we were going to get a variant or a different Spider-Man in here, why not bring in, Miles Morales? Hell, Spider-Man 2099, Spider-Man Noir, whoever you may be. A different version of Spider-Man would have been cool to see in this world that they actually went to. And I really much say that because we already know which Spider-Man is in our universe, so wouldn't it have been cool to have actually seen maybe a Miles Morales swinging around instead of someone else that we've seen, Peter Parker, 3 different times in live action? There was small or big cameo, I think this would have been a lot of fun. At my number 9, a cameo that I'm actually surprised we did not get is a Thor variant. Whether it is Chris Hemsworth reprising the role, whether it's one of his brothers playing the role, or maybe just even Tom Hiddleston playing Thor in this world, because originally he was actually sought after to play Thor. Then he didn't get it, and he ended up becoming the fabulous Loki. I think this would have been fun, and I really am surprised that we haven't dove into more of the Thor variants. Really much just in what if we only have Party Thor, and that's truly it. I think seeing how Thor is in this world where we went to within the Illuminati would have been unique, especially with the banter that him and Strange have within Thor Ragnarok. That was quite entertaining, especially if a different actor was playing Thor. That could have added for some nice spice. And at my number 8, we have the Black Panther variant with the Illuminati. I was actually thinking that we were going to be getting a Black Panther variant, or may I say, I would honestly go as far to bet, and it breaks my heart anytime I bring this up, but Chadwick Boseman, man, if he was still alive, I think we would have gotten a Star-Lord version of him on the Illuminati roundtable, and I think that would have been, really cool to see. But in the context of this, I actually think a Michael B. Jordan or maybe a different actor portraying this, and maybe they had those plans and they ended up taking out after everything that had happened with Chadwick Boseman. Black Panther is one of the main members of the Illuminati in the comics, so that's why I kept theorizing. Plus, it would have just been really cool. I'm still really looking forward to Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever. Now we get into my number 7, and my number 7 is actually another character that is heavily rumored to be in Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever, and that is Namor. There's been rumors that he's already been casted, that he's the main villain, all sorts of things like that, and of course Namor is a main character inside the Illuminati as well. Pretty much the Aquaman to this world, the King of Atlantis, all sorts of things like that. Personally, I don't know much about Namor, but this would have been a cool, nice introduction to really introduce him here in the Illuminati, and then when all of us go see Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever, or whatever film he appears in, we'd be like, that's who you got, Just like, again, spoilers if you haven't seen the movie yet, just like if Mr. Krasinski, if he's actually going to be playing Reed Richards, I think this would be a unique way to, of course, introduce him to the world and then bring him into the Fantastic Four. I personally think he's still going to be playing Mr. Fantastic, but I know there's some people out there thinking maybe he won't. We will definitely find that out soon, but for me, Namor is a central focus character in the Illuminati, and it would have been really cool. We got Black Bolt. Could have been cool to see this as well. At my number 6 is actually a cameo that for the longest time I actually think they got to happen, and they didn't, sadly. Maybe in the future in a different multiverse movie they will, and that is Tom Cruise as Iron Man. In the context of how the Illuminati were in here, I'm actually happy he wasn't, because he would have been killed off pretty damn fast. But Tom Cruise is one of those actors that I really much he gives 110%. Any role he goes into, whether it's the Mission Impossible, the Tropic Thunder, this guy is an actor, man. He loves acting. He loves doing this type of stuff. And he was originally supposed to play Iron Man back in the day. Ended up not getting the role. Robert Downey Jr. came in and absolutely won us over and took our hearts. But I think it would have been cool, especially if he was going to be playing superior Iron Man, an Iron Man that is actually very unique, especially in the way that he has all the different Infinity Stones. And in general, I think Tom Cruise would have absolutely killed it in that role. Before we get to my top 5, guys, make sure to leave a comment down below. What are some variants that you wish we would have seen inside the Illuminati, or just in general Multiverse of Madness? Do you like the ones that we got? Were you a little bit disappointed? Let me know down below. I have tons of other Doctor Strange videos up right now, and I do have a couple more coming out later this week, so make sure to slap that like and subscribe button as well so you don't miss out. And at my number 5 now, we have Jonathan Majors' Kang. Kang is pretty much, really much for me, developing to be the next big bad of the MCU, at least kind of for this entire phase. Kang is one of my favorite villains from the comics, everything that he happens to do, all the different variants and versions that they can really play around in, and they've already started hinting at. There's a couple Easter eggs in Moon Knight that happen to be a part of that. We saw him in Loki, which I loved, and this would have been unique to see if he was either a part of the Illuminati at one point, maybe they switch out the Round Table and make him a part of it, or in general, maybe they just play around with the entire multiverse and Kang is out there somewhere in there. That would have been unique for me. Would it have maybe taken away from everything that we did get? Yes, but I just want more of Jonathan Majors, and I can't wait for Ant-Man 3. At my number 4, we have Jeffrey Wright's The Watcher, a character that was the central focused narrator and pretty much the Rod Sterling of the What If Marvel series that I really much enjoyed. And for me, we saw the Living Tribunal. I was kind of surprised that either they didn't play a bigger part because they are a bigger part inside the entire multiverse, or the Watcher shows up because he is one of the protectors of this. This would have been interesting to see, even if it was like a small little hint into the sky where you see his eyes or something like that, in the way that they portrayed that in Marvel Studios' What If. For me, it would have been cool. I love Jeffrey Wright. I think he has one of the most iconic voices in Hollywood right now, especially in the way that he plays the Watcher, and it would have been a pretty unique scene to either have him have a conversation with Strange. I didn't need him diving into action, but just a small little scene would have been great. That's where we get to my number 3, and this is a character that I heard for the longest time was going to be in this movie, and that is Ghost Rider. I actually still go as far to believe that he was probably supposed to be in here, whether it was Nicolas Cage or maybe even the rumor of Normus Reedus playing the character, or maybe someone else. This is a character that I feel like would have worked very well in this film, and actually would have worked well as a good supporting character. And I look at that because there's a scene in this film where these demonic things are coming after Strange for what he is doing in the dream walking, all sorts of things like that. But nothing ever went towards Wanda. Who's to say that maybe Ghost Rider was to show up and really much cause terror to her, and maybe they just got rid of it because of the runtime, but I feel like that would have been great to have Ghost Rider in there, introduce him to the world, and then maybe later down the road bring him into the MCU. I'm a really big fan of this character, so I've just been waiting to see him. These are just theories again. They could all be completely wrong, but I would have loved to have seen him in here. Now we get to my number 2, a character that I'm surprised didn't either pop up in Moon Knight or this, and that is Mahershala Ali's Blade. This is a cameo that we got in Eternals, and I wish we would have seen him. We only heard his voice. I have been clamoring at the bits to get this next Blade into the world, and one thing I will be really happy is, as brutal as they went in this film with some of the kills, I'm very happy to see that they'll probably be doing the same thing with Blade, because I do not believe Blade will be R-rated as much as other people think it will. I'm very excited to see now what they do with that, but even in this instance, maybe they are building towards the Midnight Suns, and if they are going to be, I'm sure Blade will be a part of that team. Maybe Doctor Strange will be as well, but that would have been a cool introduction. Again, not needed for the story, definitely wouldn't have fit anywhere in the context, but it still would have been cool. At my number 1, it's the number 1 cameo that I need him in the MCU, and that is Deadpool. For people who don't know, I love this character to death. The first Deadpool film is one of my favorite comic book films of all time. That's the film I've seen the most in theaters. Saw it about 35 times. Absolutely loved it, and I love this film. And I wanted Ryan Reynolds to make an appearance. I think there was a couple spots where you could have had him gone through and just quick gag of Deadpool, and that would have been it. It wouldn't have taken away from anything. It would have added to it wouldn't have even added to the story, but it would have added to just that little moment. Now, I don't know if they ever were planning this. I know they are in development on Deadpool 3. We should probably, honestly, by the end of this year, probably get even more announcements for it. Who's coming back, who's not, what is pretty much going to be the story of this, where are we going with this, how is he going to be into the MCU. So many different thoughts and theories on this, but really much for me, what I'm very excited to see is just in general getting more Deadpool. And I think him and a banter between him and Benedict Cumberbatch would have been fantastic. That's going to be my top 10 cameos that I wish we would have gotten or really much needed for this film. If not, overall, you guys know my thoughts. I have a review up in the corner. You know the cameos really weren't the issues with this film. I had other issues when it came down to the story, but I do have tons of other Doctor Strange content coming up right now and in a couple more days. So make sure to go check out what's already posted. Thank you so much again for watching, and of course, until next time, stay classy.